The power of purpose. Shivaji Maharaj's visionary leadership, Sarv Dharm Sambhava, Sarv Jan Sukhaye Rajyam, the rule of a just king is for the well-being of all people, beyond the barriers of religion. What drives a teenager to dream of building an empire amidst chaos, conflict, and colonial dominance? What vision must one carry to create history against all odds? In this episode, we dive into the core of Shivaji Maharaj's leadership, his unwavering sense of purpose. The flame of Swaraj. Shivaji Maharaj was not born into a powerful throne or dynasty. He was born into uncertainty and oppression, in a time when vast regions of India were under Mughal and foreign rule. But from a very young age, he developed a burning desire for Swaraj, a kingdom where the common man would live with dignity, cultural pride, and justice. At the age of 15, in the sacred temple of Rareshwar, he took an oath with a few loyal companions to establish this vision. This was not just a rebellion, it was a mission rooted in purpose. What is purposeful leadership? Purposeful leadership is the North Star that guides every decision, every risk, and every sacrifice. For Shivaji Maharaj, freedom was not just political, it was cultural, social, and spiritual. His leadership did not seek power for domination. It sought power for protection, restoration, and dignity. Modern relevance. Leadership with purpose. Today, in the 21st century, we find ourselves in a similar paradox. We have tools, technology, wealth, and connectivity, yet people, teams, and even nations lack a common purpose. Businesses chase profits, governments chase power, and individuals chase fame. But only those who chase purpose leave a legacy. Just like Shivaji Maharaj, today's great leaders from Elon Musk to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam lead not with position, but with purpose. Entrepreneurs who build for their communities. Civil servants who uphold justice against corruption. Teachers who empower rather than instruct. Youth who speak up for values and take action. All of them echo Shivaji's belief: leadership is service to a cause greater than oneself. The vision of Swarajya, a timeless blueprint. Let's break down what Shivaji's vision of Swaraj actually stood for, and how we can apply it today. Political freedom. Decentralized decision-making. Cultural identity. Brand values or community belonging. Administrative justice. Transparent governance. Respect for all religions. Diversity, equity or inclusion. Citizen welfare. People-first leadership. This wasn't just a battle plan. It was a leadership framework, a blueprint for what we today call visionary, inclusive, and ethical leadership. The Rareshwar Oath, a lesson in bold commitment. Imagine being a teenager with no formal army, no large support system, and no powerful lineage, yet daring to declare freedom from centuries of oppression. This is what Shivaji did. He and a few companions swore on the shivling at Rareshwar temple, "We shall establish a kingdom that protects dharma, respects the people, and upholds justice." This was not an emotional impulse. It was the origin of strategic intent, a trait all 21st century leaders must develop. Leadership insights. Purpose precedes power. Without a higher goal, leadership becomes manipulation. Great visions begin with small circles. Shivaji's revolution started with just a handful of loyal people. Embrace adversity as fuel. Shivaji didn't wait for the perfect moment, he created it. Actionable takeaways for modern leaders. Define your why. What cause do you serve beyond making money or gaining status? Build loyalty around purpose. Shivaji inspired generations because people believed in his cause, not just his charisma. Put purpose before comfort. Real leadership begins when you choose the difficult right over the easy wrong. Shivaji Maharaj teaches us that true leadership is not about ruling others, but about liberating potential in ourselves, in our teams, and in our society. When we align our actions with a deeper purpose, we don't just lead, we inspire. The art of war. Shivaji's strategic brilliance, one who is firmly resolved to engage in war only with righteous strategy. Can a smaller force defeat the might of a massive empire? Can intelligence overpower brute strength? Yes, it can. And it did. Shivaji Maharaj, with a modest army and minimal resources, challenged two of the greatest empire of his time, the Mughals and the Adil Shahis. He did not rely on numbers. He relied on strategy. In today's episode, we explore how strategic brilliance made him invincible and what modern leaders can learn from it. The landscape of battle, why strategy was necessary. In the 17th century, the subcontinent was ruled by powerful dynasties with massive armies, foreign artillery, and well-established networks. Shivaji, born in a Jagir with limited land and no empire, was not expected to rise against them. But he saw what others didn't: mountains as fortresses, forests as camouflage, mobility as a weapon, terrain as an ally. He developed and mastered a technique known as Ganimi Kawa, guerrilla warfare. This was not reckless rebellion. It was military innovation, rooted in strategy, terrain mastery, and surprise tactics. What is strategic leadership? Strategic leadership means seeing patterns others miss, acting decisively with limited resources, turning disadvantages into advantages. Shivaji didn't try to match the enemy in size. He outthought, outmoved, and outplayed them. Key battles that define strategy: Battle of Pratapgarh, 1659. Opponent: Afzal Khan, a seasoned general sent by the Adil Shahi Sultan. Strategy: Shivaji pretended to negotiate. He chose the location hilly terrain of Pratapgarh where Khan's massive army would be ineffective. During a meeting, Shivaji wore armor under his clothes and concealed a weapon, Wagnak. He defeated Khan in hand-to-hand combat, then launched a surprise attack that destroyed Khan's army. Lesson: control the terrain. Control the narrative. Capture of Torna, Rajgarh, and Kondana forts. Shivaji didn't waste time attacking fully guarded forts. He used espionage, inside men, and nighttime attacks to conquer critical forts. Later, he converted these into economic, strategic, and administrative hubs. Lesson: be where your enemy is weak. Strike when they don't expect. Modern relevance: strategic thinking in business or leadership. Shivaji's method: 21st century parallel guerrilla warfare, agile startups vs corporate surprise or speed, disruption over tradition. Mastering terrain, understanding market or audience, resource optimization, lean management or MVP launches. Today, startups, governments, and even armies apply Shivaji's principles. Start small. Move fast. Stay agile. Use real-time intelligence and targeted strikes rather than mass actions. Know your playing field, consumer behavior, market gaps, team strengths. Leadership insights: don't fight on enemy terms. Create your battlefield. Speed, flexibility, and focus beat scale. Strategy is about anticipation, not just reaction. Your environment is part of your arsenal. Actionable takeaways for modern leaders: map your strengths. Play to them, not against the giant. Plan multi-scenario approaches. Shivaji never relied on one outcome. Invest in intelligence. He had an efficient spy network. You need real-time data today. Turn constraints into innovation. Shivaji saw lack of artillery not as weakness but as a reason to invent stealth tactics. Shivaji Maharaja's victories were not lucky strokes, they were the outcome of courageous strategy and brilliant foresight. He teaches us that it is not the size of your army or your resources, but the clarity of your strategy that determines victory. In a world full of competition, uncertainty, and rapid change, Shivaji's strategic mind is the template for modern leaders. Cultural intelligence: Shivaji's identity leadership. Swadharme nidhan shreyah pardharmo bhayaveha. Better to die following one's own dharma than live by someone else's path. Can culture be a tool of leadership? Can identity inspire resistance, unity, and progress? Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj believed it could. In today's episode, we explore how cultural intelligence became a central pillar in Shivaji's leadership, and why in the 21st century, where global brands and local identities constantly collide, this lesson is more important than ever. What is cultural intelligence? Cultural intelligence is the ability to understand your cultural roots, integrate them into your leadership, use them to empower people, not divide them. Shivaji Maharaj didn't see culture as just tradition. He saw it as a living force, a strategy for survival, pride, and resistance. The cultural landscape of the 17th century: under Mughal dominance, many Indian traditions, languages, and temples were suppressed. The elite was disconnected from local customs. Common people were losing their cultural confidence. Amid this, Shivaji Maharaj revived a sense of pride in being Marathi, being Hindu, and being Indian, not to exclude others, but to rebuild unity and resilience. How Shivaji used cultural leadership: respect for all faiths. Shivaji was a devotee of Bhavani, but he protected mosques, employed Muslims in his army, and ensured religious harmony. His leadership was rooted in cultural pride without fanaticism. Modern parallel: embrace diversity but stay rooted. Great leaders don't erase identity, they harmonize them. Restoration of temples or holy places. Shivaji reconstructed desecrated temples, protected saints like Tukaram Maharaj, and reconnected people with their spiritual traditions. Modern parallel, leaders must preserve cultural and emotional well-being, not just economic output. Coronation with cultural legitimacy. His Rajyabhishek, coronation, in 1674 wasn't just political. It was cultural, performed by Pandits, with Sanskrit mantras, rituals, and full regalia to assert sovereignty of Indian tradition. Why this matters today? In today's global world, people are often torn between modernity and tradition. Leadership that integrates both creates deeper trust, loyalty to mission, a sense of belonging, be it a company brand, a national identity, or a social movement. Cultural relevance is a leadership multiplier. Modern relevance of Shivaji's cultural strategy. Shivaji's leadership modern application reviving language localization in marketing or policy. Inclusive faith respect, diversity or inclusion frameworks, cultural sovereignty nation branding or soft power, spiritual connect wellness centric leadership. Leadership insights, culture is a strength, not a limitation. People connect to leaders who protect identity with dignity. Cultural intelligence is emotional intelligence at scale. Don't copy blindly, local relevance always beats foreign perfection. Actionable takeaways for leaders, honor your roots. Don't be afraid to bring cultural values into boardrooms, classrooms, and platforms. Speak the language of the people, literally and metaphorically. Celebrate festivals, rituals, and traditions in modern contexts. Make policies and strategies culturally inclusive. A timeless example, Shivaji was once advised to write to the Mughal emperor in Persian, the imperial language. But he insisted on Marathi. Why? Because he believed, if our language can command soldiers, it can also command the world. That's leadership, not only of policy, but of confidence. In a time of globalization, Shivaji teaches us that the future belongs not to those who erase identity, but to those who evolve it with pride. Culture is not your past. It's your power. And Shivaji Maharaj used it to inspire an entire generation to rise, resist, and rebuild. Governance or decentralization. Power to the people. Raja Dharmasya Moolam, the king is the root of justice. What makes a leader powerful? The ability to command, or the wisdom to delegate? Most monarchs in history centralized power in their own hands. But Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj rewrote the rules of governance. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a visionary systems thinker who believed that real leadership lies in empowering others. In this episode, we explore how Shivaji Maharaj's decentralized, people-centric governance system became a timeless model for modern leadership. Understanding Shivaji's administrative genius. When Shivaji built his Swarajya, he didn't just stop at winning forts, he built institutions. His governance was structured, decentralized, transparent, just accountable. These weren't borrowed ideas from foreign empire. They were rooted in Indian administrative wisdom, but adapted to modern challenges of the 17th century. The Ashtapradhan Mandal, a council of experts. Shivaji created an executive council of 8 ministers, each responsible for a different portfolio. This was known as the Ashtapradhan Mandal. Minister role, modern equivalent Peshwa, Prime Minister CEO, Head of Strategy Amartya, Finance Minister CFO, Sachiv, Home Affairs COO, Mantri, Intelligence CISO, Intelligence Senapati, Military Commander, Chief of Defence Sumant, Foreign Affairs Foreign Secretary, Nyadhish, Justice, Chief Justice Pandit Rao, Religious Affairs, Cultural, HR, Leadership. This division of labor made his kingdom efficient, fair, and responsive. Modern parallel, Shivaji's leadership mirrors today's high-functioning executive teams or government cabinets. Key principles in Shivaji's governance: decentralization, local village panchayats and district officers had autonomy. Decisions were made closer to the ground. This minimized corruption and maximized effectiveness. Modern parallel, empowering teams and departments with autonomy increases ownership and speed. Merit over caste or birth. Shivaji appointed leaders based on ability, integrity, and loyalty, not caste, religion, or wealth. Many key officers were from humble or non-dominant backgrounds. Modern parallel, leadership today must break bias and promote talent from diverse origins. Financial discipline. Taxation was fair, rational, and localized. No exploitation. Collections were moderate and reinvested in public welfare. Shivaji banned illegal extractions common in other kingdoms. Modern parallel, ethical governance and budget transparency build trust. Real-time intelligence, a sophisticated espionage network, informed Shivaji of enemy moves, internal threats, and administrative lapses. He believed in knowing everything but acting at the right moment. Modern parallel, data-driven leadership in governments and corporations. Why this matters in the 21st century. The world today is complex, fast-moving, and decentralized by nature, from startups and digital platforms to nations and global alliances. Top-down autocratic models often fail because they're too rigid. They don't adapt quickly. They disconnect from people. Shivaji's system was adaptive, accountable people first. That's exactly what agile organizations, democratic nations, and resilient NGOs need today. Modern management lessons. Shivaji's governance, business governance, parallel delegated roles, cross-functional leadership, local empowerment, regional teams or agile squads, intelligence network, real-time analytics or feedback systems, financial discipline, transparent budgets or CSR models, justice system, HR grievance redressals or ethics panels. Actionable takeaways for leaders: build a leadership team that complements your vision. Delegate clearly and trust deeply. Give power to local levels of decision making. Create real-time feedback systems. Make governance transparent, not ornamental. An example of ethical empowerment: when a general looted a village against orders, Shivaji publicly punished him despite his seniority, showing that no one is above the system, not even favorites. This kind of accountable leadership is rare, but necessary. Shivaji Maharaj didn't just build a kingdom. He built a system where dharma guided governance, where people had a voice, and where leaders served, not ruled. His model stands tall even today, as a leadership framework for source, politicians, educators, and reformers. People first leadership, ethics, inclusion, and emotional intelligence. What makes people truly follow a leader? Fear, power, rewards. Shivaji Maharaj showed us that the greatest force behind lasting leadership is trust, and trust is built on ethics, empathy, and inclusion. In this episode, we discover how Shivaji's people-first leadership made him not just a king, but a guardian of his people's dignity, and how that model is more relevant today than ever before. Leadership rooted in empathy and ethics. Shivaji Maharaj was a fierce warrior, but an even greater human being. He respected all communities, protected the weak, and held his soldiers to the highest moral standards. He believed that the king exists for the people, not the other way around. Key elements of Shivaji's people-first leadership: 1. Protection of women. After every battle, he forbade soldiers from touching or disrespecting women, even if they belonged to enemy camps. Once, he rescued a beautiful woman captured by his men. Rather than claiming her, he called her mother, and sent her home with full honor and safety. Modern parallel: women-centric leadership policies, respectful HR environments, anti-harassment codes. Religious tolerance and unity. Although a proud Hindu, Shivaji had Muslim generals, commanders, and citizens in his administration. He never destroyed mosques or holy places of other faiths. His motto was clear: Hindavi Swaraj, not a Hindu rule, but a just rule for all Indians. Modern parallel: inclusion in leadership across caste, religion, gender, and background. Justice for all. He established a strong, accessible justice system, where grievances of commoners were heard without fear. Corrupt officers were punished. No favoritism. Even his own relatives were held accountable. Modern parallel: corporate ethics panels, whistleblower protection, consumer redressal. Servant leadership. Shivaji often ate with his soldiers, visited villages, listened to farmers, and treated his people like family. His rule was based on listening, serving, and solving, not dominating. Modern parallel: leaders who listen to frontline employees, clients, and society. Modern relevance of people-first leadership. Shivaji's values. Modern application: ethical treatment of women. D or gender respect policies. Interfaith inclusion. Cross-cultural HR or team building. Justice system. Transparent ethics governance. Servant leadership. Collaborative, empathetic source. In today's world of mental health crises, cultural divides, and distrust in institutions, Shivaji's leadership offers a healing framework. Leadership insights: kindness is not weakness, it is the highest form of strength. A leader's character is tested when they hold their own people accountable. Ethics are not optional, they are essential. Inclusion is not just policy, it's philosophy. Shivaji's respect for saints or social reformers. He supported saints like Samarth Ramdas, Tukaram Maharaj, and Sant Eknath. He recognized that spiritual leaders shaped society, and he aligned with them to build not just forts, but values. Modern leaders must engage with educators, reformers, and change makers, not just bureaucrats. Actionable takeaways: build diverse teams, not just for optics, but for deeper insight. Set zero tolerance for disrespect, corruption, or harassment. Practice open communication with teams, vendors, and customers. Led by modeling ethics, not just preaching them. A story to remember: after capturing the fort of Kalyan, Shivaji was gifted a beautiful woman from the enemy side. The norm was to keep her in the royal harem. But Shivaji looked at her with respect and said, "You are as sacred to me as my own mother." He arranged for her protection in return. This single act won the hearts of thousands, even among enemies. Shivaji Maharaj teaches us that real leadership is not about conquest, it is about character. In a world chasing speed and scale, his model reminds us: build trust. Serve with dignity. Lead with ethics. That's the formula for a leadership that lasts centuries. Institution building: from forts to future-ready systems. Kile Mahnaje Satta. Forts represent power. What's the real legacy of a leader? Victories or visions? Most rulers in history built empire that collapsed with them. But Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj built institutions that outlived him. His vision wasn't just for conquest, it was for continuity. In this episode, we explore how Shivaji Maharaj laid the foundation for future-ready systems, from military infrastructure to administrative and economic institutions, and how this is the golden blueprint for modern nation builders, entrepreneurs, and policy makers. The role of forts: more than military outposts, Shivaji built and maintained over 300 forts, each strategically located, structurally advanced, and locally managed. But these forts were not just defense posts. They were administrative centers, economic hubs, symbolic powerhouses. Each fort was designed to serve the surrounding region, not just protect it. Modern parallel: regional HQs, decentralized workspaces, micro-governance units. Key features of Shivaji's institutional model: 1. Strategic infrastructure: forts were built on hilltops, seacoasts, cliffs, or inside forests. Each had storage for food, weapons, and water to withstand sieges. They became self-reliant ecosystems, early models of sustainable planning. Modern parallel: smart cities, disaster-resilient infrastructure, decentralization. Naval innovation: Shivaji realized early that no nation can be strong without control over the seas. He built India's first naval fleet in centuries, with ships like Pals, Gurabs, and Gallivets. Established coastal forts like Sindhudurg and fortified Konkan belt. Modern parallel: maritime diplomacy, port-based trade hubs, blue economy. Revenue and grain storage systems: introduced fair land revenue reforms, no forced taxation, scientific land measurement. Created storage systems for grain, food, and essentials inside forts. This ensured people were never dependent on enemy-controlled markets. Modern parallel: food security, logistics hubs, ethical taxation. Local governance units: every fort was assigned a Kiyedar, fort commander, who reported to a regional authority. Local disputes were solved within districts, avoiding central delay. This reduced bureaucracy and increased citizen trust. Modern parallel: Panchayati Raj system, decentralization of power. Institution building as a modern leadership imperative. Too many leaders today focus on projects, profits, or personal branding, but few focus on institutions that can outlive them. Shivaji didn't just manage people, he built systems of administration. Ethical military code, protocols for justice, trade routes, spiritual harmony. This is what makes him a modern leader trapped in the 17th century. Lessons for today's leaders: Shivaji's systems, today's equivalent: fort ecosystems, regional development hubs, navy or ports, maritime trade and diplomacy, grain storage or local markets, food security infrastructure, local kiledars, municipal or district authorities, clear chain of command, agile organizational structure. Don't just solve today's problem, create frameworks for tomorrow's solutions. Infrastructure is not just physical, it's cultural, emotional, and administrative. Build so well that your absence doesn't break the system. Plan for continuity, not just for charisma. As a founder or leader, build teams and systems that thrive without you. In politics or bureaucracy, focus on long-term structural change, not just slogans. As an educator or NGO leader, design replicable, scalable models. In startups, focus on processes, not just products. A story of vision. When Shivaji constructed the sea fort Sindhudurg, people questioned, why spend so much on a sea fort when land battles are the norm? He replied, the enemy may control the land for now, but whoever controls the sea controls the future. And today, maritime power defines global geopolitics. Shivaji Maharaj didn't just build an empire, he built systems of dignity, discipline, and durability. If we want to lead like him, we must ask, are we building something that will stand without us? Because leaders die, but institutions live. Shivaji for today, a leadership blueprint for the 21st century. Karmanevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachan. You have the right to perform your duty, but not to the fruits of action. What if Shivaji Maharaj were alive today? Would he be a political reformer? A tech entrepreneur? A military strategist? A nation builder? The truth is, he would be all of these and more, because Shivaji Maharaj wasn't just a historical figure, he was, and still is, a complete leadership system. In this final episode, we distill the entire Shivaji model into a 21st century leadership blueprint, ready to be applied in business, governance, social work, and personal life. What we've learned across the past 6 episodes, we explored purpose-driven vision rooted in Swarajya, strategic brilliance through guerrilla warfare and agile thinking, cultural intelligence that united people through identity, decentralized governance for people-first policies, ethical and inclusive leadership with emotional intelligence, institution building that outlives individual legacy. Now let's synthesize this into a practical leadership toolkit. The 7 pillars of Shivaji-style leadership. Pillar 21st century application. Purpose: lead with a mission, not ego. Strategy: think lean, move fast, stay smart. Culture: build rooted yet inclusive identities. Governance: delegate with discipline. Ethics: respect people, always. Institutions: build systems that scale. Legacy: create models, not dependency. Modern professions that need Shivaji's blueprint. Corporate leaders: build value-driven organizations. Avoid burnout culture by servant leadership. Build local teams with global vision. Government officers: bring innovation to policy. Serve beyond position, with accountability. Respect cultural contexts of communities. Entrepreneurs: solve real problems like Shivaji solved regional inequality. Scale like Shivaji, one fort, one win at a time. Use strategy, not funding alone. Educators or coaches: be cultural warriors, not just content deliverers. Build institutions, not just classrooms. Teach ethical courage, not just theory. Students or youth: start with purpose, not pressure. Learn from roots before chasing trends. Build something that matters, not just something that sells. Shivaji's legacy in today's world. His name resonates in Indian Navy's motto, National Defense Strategies. Maratha regiments of the Indian Army. Startup founders who build with ethics. Social reformers protecting identity with inclusiveness. He is not just a chapter in history, he is the code of modern Indian leadership. Leadership insights for the future. Resilience matters more than resources. Clarity of purpose cuts through chaos. Culture is your power, not a burden. Decentralize power to multiply outcomes. Lead with compassion, but act with courage. Build what future generations can depend on. Leave behind a path, not just applause. A leader for the world. Imagine if international diplomats studied Shivaji's conflict resolution tactics. If startup incubators modeled after his guerrilla expansion. If political parties followed his people-first ethics. The world would not just be more efficient, it would be more human. The call of today. In a world of AI, climate change, digital wars, and social unrest, we don't just need managers. We need Shivajis, visionaries who protect, strategists who serve, builders who include, warriors who heal. Shivaji Maharaj was not just a king. He was a philosophy in motion. A startup founder with a sword. A systems thinker in armor. A servant leader on horseback. And today, you can be that Shivaji, in your own context, in your own world. All you need is purpose, courage, discipline, empathy, action. If this series has helped you reflect, grow, or reimagine your leadership, please leave a rating and share it with your network. If this inspired you, share it with someone who leads with their heart. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow our series, Reinvent Yourself and Conceal the Leader Within. Let's bring back value-based leadership, one story at a time. Tell us in the comments, what's the biggest leadership lesson you learned from this? Thank you for listening to Reinvent Yourself.